Can you hear me? All right, I think we're okay. Pags will be jumping back on. We did have a little bit of technical difficulties here this morning, but that's okay. I'm back up and running, so I apologize again. If you're just tuning in, Amya McLeod at about 9:10. The Roman had a fantastic basketball career here at RFA. She made the decision just here this week that she's going to be transferring to LeMoyne College. So we'll be excited to talk to her. At about 9:30, we'll talk to the Oriskany head baseball coach, Coach Enos. Oriskany just punched their ticket to the state Final Four. So excited to talk to him. We'll be talking a little bit of Caitlin Clark. We've talked about Caitlin Clark the last 3 weeks on this show. And I know we said last week, but it's fun to talk some women's basketball, which we haven't done here in a while. But again, I was watching some of the clips from yesterday, and we'll dive into it. Is the league treating her any different? Are the referees not, they're not calling a lot of fouls on her. They seem to be letting the game play. Or does she just have to kind of suck it up and get a little tougher? But we'll talk a little bit about that and more. The NHL last night, the Rangers fall in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Panthers won 2-1. Bobrovsky was fantastic. Igor was arguably, I think, the best goalie in the playoffs. So let's see. I think we got Amya on, so we'll get back to hockey talk in just a minute. Amya, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping on with me this morning. I was having a little bit of technical difficulty, but I'm back up and running, so I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, Amaya, you made the big news this week to
I did.
transfer to LeMoyne, so congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So, I want to first talk with you. You had a great high school career, great time playing at RFA. We all enjoyed, watching you play there. What were some of the big transitions for you going from high school to the college game?
So, going from high school to college, you don't really know what you're looking for. You don't really know what it's going to be like until you actually get there. You think but you really don't. So, it was honestly a big transition, going from playing high school and then going to playing college. Even I didn't get to play a lot because I got injured in October. So even just going and playing all summer throughout against my teammates, you're playing against bigger, better people who want to be there. 'Cause, you don't always get the high school where people want to be there. So, going there, classes are harder. I moved away from home, so that was harder, transitioning from being home with my family every day to, not seeing them as much because I'm 5.5 hours away.
Right.
So honestly, it was a big transition.
So your first year when you were at Youngstown, I know you had the injury. There was a coaching change. How hard was it for you to have to watch? Because you're somebody right in high school where you weren't on the bench much, but now you get into college, you get at that Division I level, and you have to sit and watch. What was that like?
It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was very hard to sit there and watch my team knowing that I couldn't help. And, I had to overcome that obstacle. And it took me a little bit because, I am a dog, I like to work, I like to get after, I like to play. So sitting there, knowing that I couldn't help my team, I had to find other ways to help my team. So, I had to, and it was really nice because I'm a freshman going in and I'm playing with fifth year seniors. So, they took a chance on me. I'm over here trying to tell them, during games, hey, I see this, I see that, I think you can do that. And for them to actually listen to me, knowing that half of them are fifth years out there playing and I'm a freshman. So, you don't always get that. So my teammates were very supportive in that aspect, and they listened to me when I was trying to help. So I just had to find different ways to help, knowing I couldn't help on the court.
Yeah, and the transfer portal now, right, in any sport, makes a big impact. And we talk about it a lot on this show. Is you have a lot of these transfers that are fourth year, fifth year players, and it makes it tougher for the high school kid, to be recruited coming in as a young kid versus a fourth and fifth year player. Did you see the difference in the 4th and 5th years compared to some of the freshmen that came from high school? I mean, is it a big change?
It is a big change, and it's not just skills, honestly. Playing in college that long, and it's a faster game. You have higher competition, so just the aspect of them knowing, like, and being out there for longer. The skill set could be the same, but you're not going to get the playing time because they have more experience. It's all about the experience. They have 4 or 5 years on you, and you're coming in, and it's a faster paced game, so you definitely have to get used to it. Then, because it's not like high school.
So talk to us a little bit about too. You got a chance. You guys played in some big arenas against some big teams. What was it like throughout the year when you're watching, but you're sitting there saying, "Man, this is big time college basketball," because that Horizon League was a good league.
Yeah, it was. So being able to see my teammates play and like see them grow, even with all the obstacles that we went through. Being able to watch them go against such good teams because like you said we've played against great competition. We played West Virginia, so just being able to play against those teams, like, even with not playing, just you learn so much. Like, I say all the time, like, I don't regret going to Youngstown. Like, I learned so much about myself mentally, physically, like, basketball wise and off the court wise. Like, you just learn so much sitting there watching your teammates play. Like, even like, you always, growing up, you pick a best player to watch, and you kind of resemble your game after them. So being able to sit there, watch my teammates, because I played point guard and guard, so being able to watch our 5th year point guards and guards, like, I was able to learn a lot just from them. So honestly, it was great to watch.
So now you make the transfer. You make the decision just this week to transfer to LeMoyne, and I think it's great you're going to be here locally. I know you got family here, friends here that'll get a chance to come watch you play. But what went into that decision for you?
So, like I said, you don't really know going into high school what you're really looking for in college. So, definitely sitting there thinking and, talking with my family, talking with my coaches, and coming off injury. Last year was a really tough year for me with injuries and everything. So, sitting here talking with my family, my coaches, I decided that would be best to come home. LeMoyne has a really great new head coach that just came in, Nick DePillo. So I'm really excited. And after like I said, I told the Daily Sentinel I went in for my visit. Not deciding to like commit or anything. I was planning on taking a couple more visits, but I went in, and I'm halfway through my visit. I went, did a workout with them, talked to the coaches, and I was like, like, honestly, I want to be home for a while. I think it would be better to be home. I have more support here. My family can come watch, the community can come watch. Um, and a big thing, like, I love to help out. Like, I do skills and drills. So even being able to like come back and help out whenever I want to. Syracuse is only 45 minutes. So be able to come back, help the kids, help Coach Bev and Nikki Joe with what they're doing. I feel like that was also a big part in my decision. But we also, like, LeMoyne's a great school, and we're playing against great competition. We'll be playing against Michigan, Stanford, Princeton. So I'm honestly, like, really excited to get the opportunity to play against them with still recovering and everything. So that was really what did it.
So you mentioned Coach Nick, and he's coached at the Division 1 level, Division 3 level, and he was an assistant coach on the Liberty and the WNBA. So a lot of coaching experience. Did the factor of Coach Nick coming in, like, did that play any factor in you coming there? Did you form that relationship with him day one when you were there for your workout?
I did after talking with him. I'm a very big family person. You got to get to know them, and that's why one of the reasons why I chose Youngstown, because it just felt like a very family environment. And even with him just getting there, he made it a priority to get me on campus. He just signed his papers 2 days before I got there. So, him making it a priority to get me on campus, being like, hey, I'm not playing around. I really want you here. All that, like, that's how you feel loved. That's how you feel like, a coach really wants you. So you want to be somewhere where you're wanted. And that's how he made me feel.
So what are going to be some things? I know you mentioned, I see the youth camps, the skills and drills that you do for the youth level, but as far as your game goes this off season, before you go back, what are going to be some things that you'll work on to improve your game?
Like I said, I just got cleared, so definitely getting back into the swing of just playing basketball. 'Cause like I said, the college level is so much faster and everything. So just getting into the swing of playing college basketball. Workouts because I will be working out with them over the summer. So just shooting workouts, ball screen stuff. Just attacking my normal game. Honestly, everything's gonna transition. Nothing's really gonna change. Honestly, you might just see me be a little better shooter, but my game's still going to be how it was in high school.
And I know, you said you're doing a lot of the skills and drills. I see it on social media. Where can where are you going to be doing this at, and how can young kids and moms and dads get their kids signed up to have you help them?
So on Thursdays from 4:30 to 5:30, I do a skills and drills co-ed, boys and girls, first through third grade, and then right after from 5:30 to 6:30, I do a fourth through seventh co-ed. And soon, I'm thinking at the end of June, I'm gonna do a little camp, a 2-day camp coming up.
So the last question I had, I just wanted to go back to the injury when you were um, at Youngstown. Was there somebody? Was there a coach? Was there a friend of yours, a player, family? Was there somebody you were able to lean on for advice to help get you through that? Because I'm sure at that level or at any level, right, going through a major injury like that your first year, that could take a lot on you mentally. Was there somebody that kind of helped you along the way?
Yes, there was. So, I got injured in October, like I said, before the season even started, and one of my teammates actually, a couple weeks after I learned that I was going to be out the rest of the season, sadly she tore her ACL. So I always had she was a fifth year, um, so I always had her. It was never we were never I was never in this alone. We were always in it together. We were having a rough day. We'd lean on each other. We always had physical therapy together. So honestly, it was nice to have someone, a teammate, because honestly, like, yeah, I could sit here and talk to my mom and everything, but honestly, like, no one really understands like what you're going through unless like you're there. You're the athlete. That's why I always say like you really like need to be there because you don't my mom, I'm over here talking to her the whole time, and I'm like, she's like I know, like it sucks, but like you just don't understand. We put so much into going there, being away from our families for that much, wanting to play, and then that just happening. So honestly, being able to have my teammate there, who, it sucks because we were both hurt, but being able to have her there, lean on her, actually talk to her, because like she knows how it feels. People could just be like, it's not that big of a deal, but they don't really understand like honestly, we're there because like we love basketball. Basketball is our life. So they don't understand like sitting there watching our teammates play, like how hard it is for us.
Yeah, it's definitely. I unfortunately experienced that when I was at Fordham for football. I was my freshman and sophomore year. I was injured, and it's not fun. But you gotta try to find the strength and dig deep. And sounds like you got a really good support crew, whether it's family, friends, and now you'll have a whole community that's going to get a chance to follow you. So I appreciate you taking the time this morning, Amaya. It's been fun watching your high school career. I can't wait to watch and follow your college career. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you.
Hope to see you at a game.
You got it. I'll be there.
Sounds good. Have a good
All
day.
righty. Bye bye. Pegs, do we got you?
Can you hear me?
I got you, buddy. Loud and clear. How are you this morning?
Good. I can't get my camera working, but I don't know
That's
what's
okay.
going on.
As long as I can hear. I don't know what was going on. I think my mic might have been muted because I was talking and I was like, wait a minute, there's no sound.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was you or if it was me though. I had to go onto a different browser. I had to use Chrome to get in. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So
Pegs, she was Amaya was good, man. She was a heck of a high school player for RFA. I think she was
I
second
watched her,
all
man.
time.
I watched her play, and I was always amazed to see her. I mean, she was phenomenal. She was fun to watch. Fun to watch.
So we're
I'm
gonna
glad that she's closer to home. I think sometimes you move on. I mean, it was great for her to see her go into Youngstown State, and I thought she was going to do great there. And then she got hurt, and obviously that stinks. But I think sometimes you just need a fresh start, a new place to play. I think she'll do great. Plus, she got a lot more people that can come see her locally, so I think it's good for her.
My sister's probably not listening because my sister's on her way. My niece had her senior ball here in Rome last night, and then my niece has her last soccer tournament or game this morning at 7:30. So they're probably in the car. But I always go back to my sister because when you talk about going away from home, like Pags, I was only 4.5 hours away. So my mom and dad, I was fortunate that my mom and dad were at majority of my games, home
Yep.
games and away games, really. But my sister was 12.5 hours away at Central Michigan and didn't have anybody there. And that makes a big difference, especially,
Yeah, it's tough.
Amaya had the injury, so you don't have family there, you don't have friends there. Of course, you have your teammates there.
Right.
So that's a huge challenge for a young kid, making a move and trying to transition to the next level.
Yeah, especially in that first year, I could imagine. Like I think you take it for granted that that your family's always there, cheering you on. I mean, they're in the stands. They've been there for 4 years plus, even longer. But then you get to your first year in college, and things are different, right? And now that game ends, and you didn't have a good game, and you don't have mom or dad there to kind of just grab that hug and say, "All right, regroup, you'll be fine." I think that's a big deal. People don't really realize, I think, how much it means to have family there, but it's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Pags, I know we've talked Caitlin Clark the last 2 weeks, and I think you and I would both say we're talking women's basketball again on the podcast. But
Yep.
is the league treating her any different? I mean, I saw the highlight. I didn't see the game. I saw the highlights. I saw the player intentionally basically push her to the ground, right? Gave her a
Yep.
shove.
Yep. It was dirty.
It was a dirty play, but I feel like every game she plays in, we see something like that. And I'm
Yep.
sitting here saying the amount of revenue that Caitlin Clark is bringing to the WNBA, these arenas have 20,000 people
Yep.
filled to watch her play. Why are these girls doing that? I know jealousy stinks, right?
I think
Jealousy
that's what
stinks.
honestly, I think at bottom line, I think that's what it comes down to a little bit. I think it's a situation of, almost like the rookie coming in, like, okay, you're coming into this is our league that we've had a big part in building. And I think they all acknowledge that she's bringing a lot of eyes to the league. But I think it's one of those things where, like, I think some of these girls feel like you're bringing all this attention and it's great, but we've been here before too, and we've done things too. So how about, I almost feel like they feel a little disrespected that she's coming in as the hero to save the WNBA and to bring all the attention. Meanwhile, it's like, what about us? We've been here this whole time. We've been doing things. How come we're not getting, I don't say not getting the attention, but why are you getting all this attention when we're the pioneers of this thing? We started this thing. We've been here longer. So I think I feel there's a little bit of jealousy there.
Well, I go back to I think it was when the women's national championship game was on, and Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird were doing like the Manning cast, right? They were commentating, broadcasting the game, and I think it was after the game when Diana Taurasi went on SportsCenter and said she's got a huge welcome to the league when she gets there. And like everybody pointed fingers and said, come on, Tarazi, like seriously, like what's the low blow in? And I get the physicality of going from college to the WNBA, right? I think it's the same for college men to go to the NBA. It's a much physical game, it's a
Yeah,
much faster game. But I almost feel like Tarazi and that crew, who I have a lot of respect for, I think she's probably the best WNBA player, one of the best college players of all time. But I feel like Caitlin Clark has just stole women's sports.
agree.
And I think there is a little jealousy from a lot of those players that have been the names of the sport for so long that they're having a tough time transitioning with Caitlin Clark.
I agree, but I mean, doesn't this happen I mean, it happens in the NBA too, where you have you have a young rookie who comes in and he's got all the attention, and it happens the same way. The guy goes up, he gets he gets a hard foul to start things off. It happens. It's no different. I just think maybe it's different because right now, because all eyes are on this thing, right? Where it happens in the NBA every year. Every year, the new rookie is going to get their new rookie. I mean, they're going to get a hard foul in each game. It's almost like welcome to the league, kid, right? And I think it's the same thing that they're doing with her is welcome to the league, kid, but she's coming with so much fanfare, so much, really, in a way, it's almost like God has arrived, right? And it's like maybe these girls are like, okay, listen, you're good and you're good for the game and you're going to be great for the WNBA, but we're here first, and we can still play. So it's not just about you right now. And I think that's part of the thing too is all the attention has come away from everybody else. They probably are a little angry and saying, listen, you're good and you're going to have your time here and you're going to do great and you're going to add more value to the WNBA and put more eyes on it. And we want that. But at the same time, it's like we're here. So let's not forget that we're here too.
Well, I think Nick said it last week, and Nick made the comment and said, 4 weeks ago, she was playing in the national championship, and now she's transitioning to the pro game. Like, you don't have much time to transition, and the game it's faster, it's much more physical, it's a whole different game. Her first handful of games, I mean, the one game we talked about, she had 10 turnovers. Then she has 8 turnovers, 7 turnovers. So a lot of those passes and that style, she's got to adapt to. She will. She'll be just fine. She's a competitor. But Pags, we got Coach Enos on, so let me bring him on and we'll talk some Oriskany baseball with him.
Yep.
Coach, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good today. Thank you.
You should be good today. I know when I reached out to you earlier in the week, you said you still want me on if we lose, and I'm sitting here saying you guys are going to win this game. I know Deposit was the defending state champ, and they're always right there in the thick of things in baseball, Coach. But I would have had you on regardless because you guys have had a great season. So congratulations on the season and the win yesterday.
Thank you very much.
So, Coach, let's first talk about the regular season. We'll kind of go through the timeline here, and this was your second year as the head coach, but I was going through your roster, and before the season started, I said, you kind of got a pretty good blend. You got some seniors, but you got some underclassmen. Did you know as the season was getting ready to start that you guys were going to have a special group?
Yeah, just from the run that we made last year and the guys we had coming back, we had some good senior leadership last year that I had to replace, find guys to step into those roles, but the core was definitely there.
So, Coach, you get into the regular season, and you guys cruised. We'll just say you guys had a couple setbacks, but you guys cruised through the regular season. You played a good non-conference schedule. Does the non-conference schedule help you guys, transition into sectionals and even beyond that?
I definitely think so. We try to play some better teams in that non-conference to challenge us for teams that we may possibly see, like, not that we're going to see them in sectionals, but that type of baseball. So we try to, schedule up a little bit and play some teams that we know are competitive sectional type teams.
And Coach, how special is it for you? I know you have your son coaching with you. I've coached with my dad, and I repeat it all the time and said it was the best experience that I've had, and I'll remember it forever. How special is it for you to have your son with you?
It's awesome. I couldn't do it without him, to be honest with you. Just being able, it's not just like you're there with him for 2 hours. We bounce stuff off each other. He still lives at home. So we're eating dinner, hanging out, watching TV. We're doing stuff constantly together. So nothing really gets missed because it's continuously talked about.
Coach, who's the tougher one on the kids, you or your son?
Oh, definitely me. I'm the bad cop. He's the good cop.
I was going to say that's normally how it plays out, right?
He's younger. He relates to him more. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the old guy.
Well, Coach, that you guys get into sectionals, and you guys went. Obviously, you continued to run there. You beat Lyme to win the Class D title game, and you guys have had some really good pitching all year. And we'll talk about the game yesterday, but your pitching's been really good all season for you.
Yeah, that's our strong point of our team. A lot of teams have one ace and then other guys that fill in. I pretty much have 3 guys that I can count on to pitch really well.
And Coach, talk to us a little bit about yesterday, because Deposit Hancock, you guys played them last year. They got you guys last year and went on to win a state title, and they've been in that state championship. Coach, I think they've won it like 3 times out of the last handful of years.
Yeah, they've always been right there. They're a very confident group. I mean, it's funny. Before, when my oldest son was playing, they were separate, and it was either Deposit or Hancock would be the team you played if you got to that regional game. Now they're together, which makes them even that much stronger.
So, Coach, you guys trailed yesterday. You fell behind early 2-0, and then, I had said your two pitchers kind of took over and shut that lineup down, but you guys got the bats going for you. What changed after about the second inning?
I think their pitcher was phenomenal. He had 4 pitches. He kept you off balance on what he was going to throw. We kind of just had some good at bats, and by the second time through the lineup, we'd seen most of his pitches, had an idea what he was throwing, and then he started to lose a little bit of control, which helped. We got some pressure with guys on base, and we've hit like that all year. Taking advantage of a walk here, walk there, pass ball, move guys over, hit a sac fly, just different things like that have kind of worked for us.
And Coach, this is the first time I think Oriskany's been to the state Final Four in a long time, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was 2015 or 16 was the last time they went.
And I know that that community there rallies behind you guys. I know the community and all of us locally are proud of you guys and have enjoyed following you guys, throughout the season. What's it going to take to get and play for a state title? Who do you guys have next? I didn't see it this morning.
We have Hadley Luzerne next.
What do you know about them?
I've been trying to research. You know what? Like, we put all our stats online, and a lot of these schools don't put anything on there. So I was checking Max Preps and some of those other things this morning, and there's not a whole lot on there. Before I came on here, I was watching their game is on NFHS. So I was trying to watch their game and see what was going on. But, I mean, we're going to do our thing. That's what we do. We're not going to change anything for who we're playing. We're just going to play Oriskany baseball.
Coach, I never understood that really in any sport. I know you've coached football too, but
Yep.
I always wondered why coaches don't put – I would think you're doing it for the kids, right? You put all their stats
Absolutely.
up.
Like, I put all the kids' things on there for the kids, for anyone that wants to look at them. I mean, like, you can figure out pretty quick in a game who the guys are and who you got to worry about, And, I mean, baseball, you can look and say, oh, this one has this many stolen bases or this one's average is this, but pretty much where they are in the lineup. That's what they do, like that's the way it's kind of set up.
Coach, you have a quite the athletic family in your household. I know you talked a little bit. I was talking about your son, Matt, but Ryan's had a great career as well. And how proud is it to have both your boys? I know you got the one by your side coaching, but you got to be awfully proud of the family.
Oh, absolutely. Ryan's actually home since he came back. He's been helping out too. So it's a real family affair here. Which
is even better, Coach.
Absolutely.
It makes it that much better as time goes, right? And you've been around a long time. You've coached football. You've kind of done it all over there at Oriskany.
Yeah, so like at Oriskany, I started coaching softball because there was baseball coaches there before me. Then Tom took over and did a great job. And then as my oldest son Ryan, when he got to be a sophomore, I talked to Tom and I was like, I'm coaching softball and I can't see any of his games. I said, do you mind if I get on your staff and help you coach? And I'm going to give up softball because I can't miss his whole high school career. So that's when I made the switch. And I've coached basketball. I coached, like I said, you coached football for a while.
So, Coach, just the last thing I was going to ask you. So, your team, I think you got 4 seniors and the rest are all underclassmen. So yep. You'll have a good group, next year, and I'm sure coming up. Who are some of the names on your team this year, has there anybody that's really surprised you, that's really stepped up? I know a lot of your guys all play key roles, but is there any one or two players that have stepped up for you this year that might not have expected, had the expectations for it?
There's a ton of guys like Chase Koning pitched good for us last year, but struggled at the plate. He came in this year, and until yesterday's game, he was batting 4 for me and hitting 300, and had a bunch of RBIs. We got a couple kids up from the JV team. Matt Kernan is a sophomore. He's playing in right field for us, but he just finds ways to get on base, and he's a great base runner. I don't know how he does it, but he does. Sean Graziano came in and filled in one of our other outfield spots, and he's a wild card. He gets on once he gets on base, and he finds ways to get on. He gets himself around. Nick Hayes went from center field, where he played awesome last year, was an all-star. We didn't have a catcher. I said, Nick, can you catch? And he came in and did some work in the off season and worked on his blocking drills and, framing and all that stuff. And he's been throwing out runners and, huge for us back there. Another JV kid came in and plays second base for us, and he made 2 or 3 phenomenal plays for us yesterday. It's a combination. There's a ton of guys that are just, playing really well.
Well, Coach, your team's been fun to watch, and like I said, I know your community, our community, all over the Mohawk Valley is proud of your team, and you've done a great job with them. Great family affair with the family by your side, and we'll continue to follow you, and hopefully I'll be talking to you again after you guys win a state title.
That would be great.
So I appreciate you taking the time this morning, Coach. Best of luck the rest of the way.
All right, thank you.
You got it, Coach. Pags, they've had a heck of a run.
Oh man, they've had a great run, and hearing Coach, he's so laid back about it. He's like, nonchalant, like nothing, no big deal, right? I mean, he just kind of goes to work and does what he's got to do. But he, I was looking at his lineup because I was supposed to interview him, and just looking at the stats that he had, I mean, those kids are hitting. I mean, they've been hitting the ball all season long. I mean, like you said with his pitching staff, I mean, he's got 3 guys. He said 3. I mean, I didn't think he's got 4. I mean, he's loaded with arms. So I think they're really primed for not. I mean, the run that they've made here is no surprise. I don't think. I think they got a good shot at winning this whole thing.
Well, one thing about Oriskany has always been strong, and I'm not talking about any other sport. I'm just saying they've always been strong in baseball for as long as I can remember. I know Tommy Meese, who was a Rome guy, was coaching there as well. But I feel like when I looked at their roster, and I followed them throughout the season, they're all underclassmen. I mean, he's got I think he's got 4 seniors.
Yeah, he's got 4 seniors. He's got I'm looking at it right now. He's got
5 juniors,
3, 4 sophomores.
Yep.
Looks like 4 juniors, and then he's got a freshman. So yeah, I mean, they're loaded, and they're going to be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you look at the seniors, a lot of the kids that are hitting well, I mean, are sophomores. I mean, he's got that Koning kid. Dean Koning is a sophomore, and then he's got, I imagine, his brother's a junior. But they both are like hitting the ball, and then he's got another sophomore. His name is Eddie Wright. He's another one who numbers look good for the season. I mean, he's got 29 runs for the season, 31 hits, 24 RBI. So I mean, loaded. And then, like I was saying, his pitching staff. So the ones that I wrote down, one of them is a senior. That's Anthony Kernan, and the other ones are a junior, which is, he mentioned Chase Koning, a freshman, Dean Koning, and then Eddie Wright, who's a sophomore. So you got 3 guys coming back on your pitching staff. That's kind of unheard of in high school baseball. He was saying that most teams have 1 guy. Sometimes you have a guy and a half, let's say, but like to have going in next year to have 3 guys, that's really good.
Well, I feel like baseball, even in at any level, right? I mean, I was saying this with our little league team, is it always comes down to pitching, right? You can hit the ball, you could score runs, but if you can't get batters out, you can't throw strikes at any level. you're not going to win games.
Right.
And it's nice to see, some of these teams like him. I mean, he's got 3 or 4 kids that can throw the ball. And even in high school, the deeper you go, these teams can hit your 1s and 2s.
Yep.
So it's those guys in relief that make a big difference. But he's done a great job. He's been around for a long time. So hopefully they continue on.
What makes them so powerful, I think, is that they have both, right? They have you have the 3 guys, the 3 pitchers. So you can go the one pitch, because most of these high school games, I mean, it's the same pitcher almost going every game, So now you have these 3 guys that you can mix and match. But then you're going up against teams who probably only have a guy, maybe another guy, but most likely just have a guy. And then you have guys who are just torching in the lineup, up and down the lineup, that can hit the ball. So you're kind of, you're putting the other team in a tough spot right off the bat, because, you have the pitching, so they're not hitting, and then you're hitting their one pitcher, so now they're in a tough spot.
Yeah, and I want to make sure too. I don't want to just mention Oriskany, but Little Falls yesterday,
Yeah,
Pete, they won too. So they advanced. So best of luck to both teams.
Yeah. How about
week.
on the girls' side? I know Whitesboro will end up losing the softball team. How about the Camden girls? Do you know what they won?
Camden girls got beat. They got beat 6-4.
Okay.
It's funny you brought that up, because girls yesterday. So Whitesboro lost to Burnt Hills 10-2.
Yep.
Sackett's Harbor lost to Chautauqua 3-2.
Okay.
Camden got beat. Now, I have never heard of this team. Coach Matisse probably has. Ichibod Crane?
Oh, Ichibod Crane. Yeah, that's I heard of them.
Where are they at?
They're past Albany somewhere. Like
down that way?
Yeah, they're like one of those suburbs that you never heard of in Albany, past Albany.
So they beat Camden 6-4. Sandy Creek, where the stat man would say where seasons go to die.
Yeah.
They lost to Union Springs 13-8, and then Saratoga Springs beat Liverpool 7-0 in softball.
Okay.
So Camden, another great team, had a great season.
Great runs for these girls. I mean, to see everybody playing this late. I mean, we say late, it's only June, but it just turned June. But for high school baseball, high school softball, it's late. To see these teams playing this deep, it says a lot about the kids in our area.
Yeah, it does. It's nice to see some local teams. I always say that, our section, when most of our teams get out of this area, when you get down to play a lot of the Binghamton, Albany,
tough.
Those type teams, it's tough. It's tough to get out of the sectionals, right? I mean, it's tough to win, at any championship, let alone, get to a state Final Four. So
I think it's hard in this area, because after you get out of this area, out of this section, I mean, our area is kind of small, I mean, and so once you get out of here, you're playing schools that have access to more kids, so that access to more kids means potentially more talent out there. So it's hard. It's a little bit harder. But kudos to our kids, because I mean, they never, you see it every year where, they get into the sectionals, and then 1 or 2 teams, beats a team that they're not supposed to, and then they go far, and hopefully can win a title. But I mean, even if it ended for today for any of these teams, remarkable seasons. I mean, just amazing to go to regionals and just the things that they've done. Kudos to them for getting this far. So,
Pegs,
I know we're proud. I know out in Little Falls, we're real proud of what they've done, especially being with the Diamond Dogs. I mean, a little connection to them out there. So that area is super, super proud of what's going on. Little Falls, a small community, everyone rallying around them. And same thing here in Oriskany. I mean, we're in Whitesboro, we're in West Berlin, and we're not supposed to like Oriskany, because we're the Cider Street line draws the line between West Berlin and Oriskany. But super proud. I mean, this area is super proud of what they're doing. So we're all fans of them right now.
Pags, you're one of the baseball guys. Pags and Pinstripes, the podcast. So I got to throw it out there for you. Aaron Judge is on an absolute tear.
An absolute tear. What, first of 20 home runs, right?
He hit a bomb.
Oh yesterday. My God, that thing's still going, I think.
It is, we're just talking about pitching, right, with high school.
Yep.
And I say this with the Yankees is if they can just get some pitching.
Well,
the bats are going to be there. They're going to go cold eventually, though. But they'll,
they
the
are.
whole lineup's
Eventually, they're
been
going to hit
good.
that. And I always worry, like with the Yankees and most of these teams, like they're on a tear right now, right? It's like, when is it going to end? Is it going to end right before you get into the, right when you get to the playoffs? I'd rather them hit that stride now where, I mean, they're playing great, but eventually things are going to slow down. But you said with the pitching, it's really surprising to see what these guys are doing right now because, I mean, they don't have Garrett Cole. So when he comes back, that's going to be a plus, right? But I mean, when you look at the guys who are we got right now, I mean, Luis Gil, last time I checked, his ERA was under 2. Clark Schmidt is having a heck of a season. Stroman's having a good season. Rodon's having a good season. They're all going to hit their bumps here and there, but those guys are really, I think, doing better than I expected right now. So they're kind of holding their own, and the staff is only going to get better when Cole gets back. So I think they're in good shape, and I think they're in good shape with how things are with pitching right now. Because if you look up and down the league, it seems like every star pitcher is out, right? I mean, there's been so many injuries to some of these star pitchers, and even for baseball, unfortunately, even the two biggest stars, Trout and Acuna, are out for the season. So the injury bug has kind of killed everybody. But you're right. As we get closer down the stretch, I would like to see the Yankees bring in another arm, just to kind of solidify that bullpen. Almost, they really don't have. They're doing this without really any stars. I mean, so I would like to see maybe one more guy that they go out and make a big splash and get. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to go with what they got, and they're going to hope that Cole comes back and adds a big punch. But again, even with Cole, I worry that he hasn't pitched all year, and then all of a sudden we're going to expect him to just jump in the lineup and do great things. I mean, he might struggle at the offset too when he gets back. So I don't know. It's great to see that the Yankees are doing so well right now. But I'm always optimistic. Just be careful because we're still, it's only June.
Well, the one thing I'll say is it's nice to get off to a great start where they're not playing catch up, because I feel like
agree.
the last 2 or 3 years, they get behind, they got to play catch up. They're fighting for a wild card spot. I think it's great getting Tommy Canely back, into the bullpen. The kid yesterday, I never heard of the kid, Cody Petit.
Yeah, Petit,
pitched 5 good innings for him, and then they turned it over to the bullpen. But they've been good away from Yankee Stadium, so far this season, which has been great. I want to say, and I'd have to check my math, other than the Phillies, I think the Yankees have the best record in baseball.
Yeah, the Phillies have the best record. LA's up there as well, but they're all right around the same amount of wins. But the thing is, you're talking about getting off to that good start, especially in the AL East, right? Because the AL East is like the gauntlet, right? Every year, we talk about they beat each other up in that AL East.
Mm-hmm.
But this year it seems like a couple of the teams that we thought would be there have dropped off. I mean, I thought Toronto would be better than they were, and they're not. They're sitting in last place. Tampa Bay is 10 games back the last time I checked, and I thought they'd be better. Boston is Boston, right? Boston is either they're going to be really good or they're not.
Yep.
And Baltimore has been that team that's been building and building and building, and we knew they were going to be good, and they're finally there, right? So I think it's going to be between the Yankees and Baltimore. I think Boston's going to fall off, and the rest of it. I mean, maybe you see one of the other teams, maybe Tampa or somebody, or Toronto starts, I don't know, getting back on track, but I just don't see them. I think it's going to be a two-team race. It'd probably be the Yankees and Baltimore. So yeah, it's good to try to get up ahead, and because you're going to hit that lull sometime during the season. So hopefully, if you got that little bit of a cushion, it'll help you get through. But really, the Yankees have been they've been doing what they need to do and winning series. That's what really to me has been impressive, is that they go into every series and they're taking 2 out of 3, or they're winning every series. Which if that's what you're gonna, if they just keep that mentality of going into series and saying, listen, we're gonna go into each series to try to win all 3 games, but if we can come out of there winning 2 out of 3, they're going to be in great shape. I mean, that's going to be a hell of a season if they if they do that. So I don't know. It's
Pegs,
exciting. It's exciting to see
yeah.
them back, and they got a good lineup. I mean, Soto has been what an addition for the Yankees. I mean, this kid is like he is the premier Yankee. I mean, you talk about putting together the guy that's going to be a Yankee for life. I mean, you got Judge, you got Soto. I think Soto's going to sign a long-term deal with the Yankees. I mean, they'd be crazy for him to let him go anywhere else, and I don't think he will. I think he likes playing in New York. I think he loves the fans. He loves. It's just a great place for him to be right now, and he's doing great. So I think we'll see him in pinstripes for a long time, and even like some of the other guys. I mean, Giancarlo, he always has his ups and downs, but he's had a decent season. I mean, he's struggled a little bit here and there, which is kind of normal for him. But he's the kind of guy that I mean, he doesn't make excuses when he struggles. He knows it, and you know he mans up to it and tries to get better. But the rest of the lineup, I mean, you go through the rest of the lineup. I mean, Volpe is kind of seems like he's turned the corner, and I know last year he struggled a bit, but he's kind of turned the corner. And then you have Verdugo, who I think was a great addition to the team. I mean, he's been hitting right around, I think, 260 or so, 250, 260, which isn't bad. We'll take that. The guy that's surprising, I think, is Gleyber Torres. I think everyone's on him, and he's not playing well right now. And Rizzo's not having the greatest season either. But you know, and then you get guys that you don't expect, like Trevino, right? Trevino's hitting. At one point, he was hitting like 283. I mean, who would have expected Jose Trevino to hit 283 for the Yankees? So they're getting different players to contribute, and that's what you need to have a good season.
Well, I think one thing that, and you touched on it, is normally you see the Yankee lineup, you know, who's hitting 215, 210, 220. It's nice to see a Volpe hitting 282. It's nice to see Juan Soto hitting 316. It's nice to see Aaron Judge now hitting 282. So it's nice to see these guys now that are hitting 280, 290, you know, and not just hitting 210 and, you know, hitting 30 home runs and hitting 210, but you have 100 and something strikeouts.
Right.
So it's nice to see at times the Yankees can play small ball, get on base, bunch you over, steal a base, get a base hit where they just don't have to rely on the long ball.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong; those three guys in the middle of the order, it's murderer's row, right? With Stanton, Judge, and Soto, they got more home runs, the three of them, than some teams do.
Right. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is that if you can put guys around the rest of those guys, I mean, yeah, you're going to have guys that, you know, that are big home run hitters and are going to strike out more. But if you can get a little bit of hitting out of those guys, and you can get the rest of the guys around them to hit, now you got guys on base to you know. So when those guys do come up, and they hit that home run, or they just hit the ball. I think they're hitting the ball well. So you know, the more guys you have on base, the more opportunity to score runs. So that's exactly. I think this is the formula that the Yankees have been missing for a bunch of years, because they've had a lot of guys throughout the years that were kind of the big home run hitters and were striking out a lot. So, and the guys weren't getting on base. So it was like you either were winning games because you're hitting the long ball, or you weren't winning games at all. You weren't scoring. So now it's a combination of, we got guys who can hit the ball long, but they're also hitting the ball well, and the guys around them are hitting the ball. So a base hit, a double, score some runs, get you on the board, and now you're off to the races. So it's the right formula. And you know, everybody talks about Aaron Boone and whether you know, he's the right guy. Listen, he's done a heck of a job with the Yankees, right? I mean, I know it's hard when you talk about the Yankees because it's always championship or bust, right? But sometimes you got to take a step back. I mean, how many teams would be more than thrilled to have the records the Yankees have had over the years? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been seasons that Boone's had that haven't been good, and you expect more out of him and expect more out of his Yankee teams. But it happens. I mean, you know, baseball is one of those games where sometimes you have that season where just things don't click, and you don't have the right guys in the right mix. And I think, you know, even Cashman's gotten a ton of criticism over the years, but you know, why has he gotten so much criticism? Because he's been there so long, right? I mean, he's won a ton of championships. So anybody else with that resume would be a god. But because he's been there so long, and the Yankees expect championships year in and year out, the years that he doesn't win a championship, or the years that they struggle when they should do well, because they brought a bunch of guys over, because that's what they do. They reload every year, and sometimes that reloading doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, he gets criticized more so than others, because it's the Yankees. But at the end of the day, when his career's over, I think you're going to look back and say he's done a heck of a job with the Yankees, and he's brought a lot of championships. So he does a good job. I mean, it's you never know. I mean, you go out. I mean, you go off and get these guys that, he always goes off and gets guys that, you look at their resume, it's strong, and then they come to the Yankees and they don't do well. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to be a Yankee, and not everybody's built for that. And the dimensions at Yankee Stadium are different. You're playing at a different stadium. You're playing against different pitchers. Sometimes you're coming from the National League to the American League. There's differences, So
it's hard to play in the bright lights.
So it is, man. It's the biggest stage, right? It's the biggest stage. I mean, it's if you're a baseball player, you think if you can hit the ball, you can hit the ball, right? But when you're playing at a place where there's not a lot of pressure and you can just go play the game, and you're like a little kid, right? You just go pick up the bat and you just go play baseball. But when you go to the stadium or the park, when you go to the Little League field, and mom's in the crowd and dad's in the crowd and the whole family's there, and your girlfriend's there, right? The pressure's a little harder, right? And you take that swing a little harder and you strike out. It's no different, I think, when you're in the big leagues, right? I think the whole stage is on your back, and everyone reacts differently. So, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a good season so far. Again, it's kind of unfortunate for baseball, I think, that they've had so many injuries, and I think especially their big guys, with Trout and Acuna, those are two guys that bring a lot of attention. A lot of the kids love those guys. I mean, we love them because they're great, but I mean, the kids kind of follow those guys, right? So it takes a little bit of the luster away for baseball. It seems like sometimes baseball just, things happen to them that are just unfortunate, because football is always it's always on TV, right? It's always on TV. They're always talking about it. It's the off season, and football's all year round. I think sometimes because baseball's on every day, people take it for granted because it's like, oh, I can tune in the game tomorrow. But not having the stars hurts them a little bit.
Well, Pags, next week we'll talk NBA Finals, but you got an early prediction? Who you like?
I don't know how you go against Dallas. I like Luka, man. I think what Luka and Kyrie are doing right now. I mean, I don't know. I think they're too much for Boston. I mean, Boston has played well all year, but they kind of skated through the Eastern Conference, not really having to play anybody. They lucked out with who they played. A lot of the teams they played all had their guys injured. So I guess we're going to see how good they really are. And don't get me wrong, Tatum is great. Brown is great. I don't know. I just think that the way Luka's playing right now might be too much for him.
If Porzingis plays in this series, and Porzingis is 60 to 70%, I think the Celtics win. I think the Celtics have the best starting five in the NBA. I think they've been the best team in the NBA all year. But I'm with you. I don't think anybody thought that Dallas, unless you're a Dallas fan.
No.
But Jason Kidd got Luka and Kyrie and this team to play some defense halfway through the season. Yep. And, Kyrie and Luka have had a good playoff run. The two of them, I think they've been the best backcourt in the NBA throughout the playoffs. But I think defensively, they've gotten a lot better. And if they continue to play like they have, I think they're too much. I think they win in 6. But if Porzingis plays for the Celtics, I can see this thing going 7 games. Yeah. Hopefully it's a great series.
I agree. I don't think we're going to see a sweep by anybody. I don't think it's going to be a 4-1 series. I think it's going to go 6 or 7. And you make a really good point. I kind of forgot about Porzingis, to be honest with you. I think Porzingis, if he plays, I don't know if there's anybody in Dallas that can kind of guard him. I think that's the one thing that might be the leverage, because now you're going to have those, like you said, the starting five for Boston with, if you got Porzingis, you got Brown, you got Tatum. I mean, those 3 guys alone are going to be tough to stop. But I think Porzingis, a healthy Porzingis, changes things in this series quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's going to be a fun series to watch, because I think that, there's You're going to have the whole return of
Kyrie.
Kyrie to Boston, so that plays in a little bit. But I think it's like the stage is set for Luka, right? So can Luka shine in the big stage now? And does it run out? Does this luster run out? Because again, like you said, who would have? I mean, nobody would. I don't think anybody would have picked Dallas to be in the finals, right? Especially, I think we all probably, if we all had to figure it out and write down our champions, the champion probably would have came out of the West, right? I mean, I don't think the way Denver was playing, I didn't think anyone was going to stop them, right? And then if it was after Denver, I would say OKC would have been the next team to come out of that West if it wasn't Denver. Dallas would have been probably my third team coming out of there. I mean, so is this are they just on a run and then this just ends? Because if you look at it, who had the tougher competition getting to the finals? It's been Dallas. So does that run out now? Because it's really been easy for Boston. I mean, they've won. I don't know what the record was, but they got a bunch of sweeps. They got a bunch of 4-1 series wins. They really, the teams that they played, all their guys were hurt. I mean, the Knicks was a phenomenal series and phenomenal run for the Knicks, but I mean, they were at the end. They were throwing 6 guys out there, and then even at that, they didn't even have that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they've been battle tested yet because of the injury bug of teams that they've played. I think they have a lot of pressure. I think Jason Tatum's got a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
To take this Celtics team to the next level and win an NBA championship, maybe a Finals MVP. But again,
Luka's beat up a little bit. I think Luka's injured a little bit. I mean, I don't know if it's a knee or an ankle, but he's playing through it. But he's I mean, and everybody, don't get me wrong, you get this far in the NBA playoffs, everybody's beat up. It's a battle. I mean, these guys go 7 games. I mean, they're all beat up. But I guess what I'm saying is everyone's beat up. But if anyone's not as beat up, I would think it's Boston because Boston's had it a little bit easier,
Yeah, I would agree.
And how about for the coach of Boston? I mean, you always talk about Boston and what's his name? The guy that came from that's now the general manager there.
Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Stevens and the job he's done, but how about the coaching staff? I mean, you have a coach there who was never supposed to be the coach, right? And he's led them to the championship. I mean, there's got to be a lot to be said about him, right?
Listen, I think yes, I 100% agree with you. But I'll also say this: I think Jason Kidd's has done a hell of a job in Dallas getting Kyrie to play with Luka. I thought Kyrie's career was coming to an end. Joe Mazzulla's done a fantastic job with the Celtics this year. There's no way around that either. But I don't think you can discredit the job that Jason Kidd has done in Dallas, bringing Kyrie back. And again, I thought his career after last season was coming to an end. And to see him now, how well defensively Dallas has played, I think tip your hat. But I think both coaches have done well. Brad Stevens is an absolute genius. I've always liked Brad Stevens. I still would like to see him back on the bench again, but he's doing a fantastic job.
Say, do you think he'll ever come back and be on
the
bench?
Think so.
I don't think he will.
I don't think so. I think, again, I think the college game, the way it is today, we lost Roy Williams, we lost Coach K, we lost Jim Boeheim.
Yep.
The list goes on and on with this transfer portal and stuff. I don't think you'll see it. I'd love to see it happen, but I just don't think we will. So
yeah, I don't think you'll see it either. I think now that he's in that role, he's going to stay there. I think he's going to be in Boston for a long time. I think he's going to be the general manager of the Boston Celtics for a long time, and I think you're going to see a lot of championships come out of Boston. I think eventually. I mean, it should start this year. I mean, that's the thing. You got to start winning these things, right? You've had some opportunities to get there and win them, and you haven't. So you got to start winning them. But I think it's the prime situation for, because you have a guy who's really doing a great job in that GM role. I can see, almost the new Boston Celtics, right? The new era of the Boston Celtics where, they start winning a couple of championships here and there. Because I think every year they're going to reload and they're going to be ready to make another run, especially in the East. I mean, the East hasn't been as strong as it's been, when we grew up watching it, right? I mean, the Bulls and the Knicks and the Knicks seem to be back. But I'm still not convinced that the Knicks are fully back. I mean, I know this was a great season. I don't know if the Knicks are going to be, we're going to see the Knicks at the top like we saw them this year every year. I don't know if they're back for good yet. And the rest of the team, you go through the East. I mean, the East is so watered down now. I mean, back in the days, you had the Bulls and the Pistons and the Knicks and all these great teams, and now it's like none of them are there, right? I mean, there's a lot of them have watched a young talent, but nobody can seem to turn the corner.
Well, it's always nice to see the Knicks and back competitive. I would have loved to see the Knicks play the Celtics, but a healthy Knicks team. I think a healthy Knicks team gets by the Pacers and challenges Boston, to get to the NBA Finals. But we'll see if it happens again next year.
We'll see.
All right, Pegs, we're out of time. Appreciate
right.
you tuning in. I'm glad we were able to get you on, talk some sports here.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we thank Amya McLeod for jumping on with us this morning. Thanks to Coach Eric Enos this morning for jumping on, talking some Oriskany baseball, and we'll make sure we're back at it again next Sunday right here on the Mohawk Valley Sportswatch. So appreciate it, Pags.
All right, sounds good. Have a good weekend.
All right, man.
All right.
So on behalf of the entire crew here, Coach Pags, Coach Medicis, myself, and the stat man, thanks for tuning in this morning to the Mohawk Valley Sportswatch. Again, thanks to Amya McLeod, and thanks to Coach Eric Enos for talking Oriskany baseball, LeMoyne basketball. We appreciate everybody following us. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And again, I appreciate everybody taking the time to tune in this